Hi everyone, it's Professor Lusheen. This is the Module 1 review for Safety 388. Because this is a compressed course, 6 weeks versus 16, completely asynchronous. In order to accommodate schedules and everything, I think it's important that I provide you with weekly feedback and give you updates, and so that you can change how you do things. Maybe it'll also influence you to reach out to me if you have any questions. Nobody's done that yet. So here's the basic things. I want to go over the pre-course survey that you all took. Thank you for doing that. Discuss student performance based on the metrics I use, and I'll kind of talk about what you can do to improve. I want to review some of the things I'd covered in my course design and expectations video that was posted, pre Module 1. And then some lessons from Mod 1. I'll preview Module 2, and then I want to talk about the Module 3 Acts Investigation assignment. It's a big part. And then I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to try to do that each week, as I'm going to add in some more application for you. So most of you, almost everybody, 16 of 17 students completed the survey. Thank you. If you're the one who hasn't, please complete it. I'd still like to have that. As far as a breakdown by the degree programs you guys are in, many of you have some sort of, whether it's the grad class or a minor or online or in face-to-face major, most everybody is, but we had 3 or 18% of who currently participated are non-safety majors. So that's kind of interesting. We got a very diverse group. As far as your year in school, we've got 3 graduates, we've got 4 sophomores, majority of you are seniors and juniors. It's interesting. As far as what you're doing this summer, is that half? No, just under half of you are currently working full-time in a non-safety position. 3 of you are working full-time in safety. 4 of you, so that'd be a total of 11, are not in safety, but either part-time internship or full-time. And as far as safety is concerned, we've got the 2 full-time and we've got the 2 part-time, so 4 of you. 1 of you isn't working, and then we have a non-response. The reason for this question is that the course project, which is the case study at the end, requires that you get access to a work environment in order to do an assessment, in order to analyze what you collected, in order to make recommendations based on what you found. Okay? And so it is very important that you have access and get actual approved, right here, approved access. So in week 4, that's when you guys are going to make, that's where you're going to propose where you're going to do and what you're going to focus on. Okay? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'll talk about it more in next week's summary video. As far as locations, you guys are kind of all over the place. It's kind of interesting. We got people all over the U.S. We got people from south here in Wisconsin, which would be north. A lot of you are in northern Illinois or in southern Wisconsin. 1 of you is in Whitewater. So I thought that was really interesting. And then as far as the way you rated your current abilities, I think some of you are too modest. Just reading some of the responses this week, I think you guys probably know more than you think you do, but that's okay. That'll just mean when we do the post survey, you guys all look like you did better. It looks better. Makes me look better, like a better teacher. So each week I will be tracking the time that Canvas tells me that you've been on there and the number of things you've opened or tapped on or touched. So here's the average. What the averages are skewed because we have, we have 1 person or maybe 2 people who touched a lot of things or left it open overnight. And then we've got somebody or a couple people who didn't do a lot. And so the median is usually the row that I use. And I'll talk again about what I had expected, but this may not actually represent the time you put in. I know that. I don't use this for grading. This is just sort of an indicator of things. For the quiz, the average is 9 out of 10, not bad. For the assignment, it's 9 out of 10, not bad. For the reflection, it's 9 out of 10, not bad. And I try to provide all of you with custom feedback in Canvas to help you out. But I'm going to talk about it here real quick in that don't forget to provide your source or your citation for your response. Some of you forgot to do that, and I took off a point for that. Because really the point of the assignment, and I explained this to some of you, it's to demonstrate that you've completed the readings, the videos, and the links. That's what it's about. It's not about providing the right answer. It's about show me that you read something or looked something up. That's what it's for. That's what it's all about. For the reflections, some of you lost points because you were very brief. You just I asked you, what about this? And you're like, I don't know, kind of like that. Or I agree with what you said in lecture. I don't want that. I want you to really challenge yourself to think deeply about some things, the application of things in your life experiences. Doesn't have to be work related or safety. That is a demonstration that you can understand how it applies. That's what these 2 assignments are. So they do require thought. As far as the quiz goes, I will always review quiz questions in which we had under 70% got it correct. First one was a little upset by this. I'm going to be honest, because I did talk pretty extensively on what is a profession, and I didn't require you to read the paper because I covered it in the lecture. That safety is not a true profession. You do not have to have an accredited degree. You do not have to take a licensing exam. You are not required to practice per some sort of ethics code, and if you violate it, you get disciplined. We don't have that, so we're not a true profession. So it is false. The other one is in lecture, I was talking about the methods of job hazard analysis, and I was also talking about risk assessment, and I gave you an example of a failure modes and effects analysis. It's one that I said I had favored. I don't like fault tree. Mort is kind of blah. And the Apollo method just falls under the cause and effect, under the 5 and the fishbone diagram. So yeah, this is the correct answer. Again, a majority got it, but if it's ever under 70, I'll talk about it real quick. Remember, it is an open note, open book quiz. So if you take notes while you're watching the lecture video or you have your assignments completed in front of you, it may make things a little bit easier. So try to complete everything before you take the quiz. Don't take the quiz first, because the questions aren't meant to be tricky. They're just meant to be very relevant to what was covered. Now, I want to review a few things that came out of the video I created for you prior to the course, in that because of the compressed version, I would expect that you're putting in 12 and a half to 15 hours per week for 5 lectures plus additional content, and I ask you to please schedule accordingly. So we had a few people miss assignments this week. I know some of you gave me some good excuses, but if you need more time, you just gotta ask. But again, this is really compressed, and so you gotta really be kind of dialed in here. So just realize that's what I'm expecting. If you're putting in a lot more than that, let me know. I will try and curve things down, but just looking at the hours of lecture and everything else, again, I think that this is maybe a little bit of a give me or a low number. I will try and post week 3, if not tonight, tomorrow morning quick. I've got the module open. I've got lectures 11 and 12 currently open. 13, 14, and 15, I'm going to try and use previous lectures, but then create a new lecture that ties in new material. I'm going to try to do that because it took me 3 days just to do lectures 11 and 12 update. And it took me a long time to do the other stuff. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. Hopefully you guys like it. That's basically it. Reminder that each week there's an assignment, a quiz, and a reflection or problem solving. You'll see as we get further into the class, it'll become more problem solving than reflective. Some of you did not turn in all the assignments, so make sure they're always due Sunday night at midnight, so you can schedule it out. And I have the assignment here, and then we've got where you upload it. I've got the reflection assignment here and where you upload it, and the quiz link is right here. Each module has 5 lectures. So we've got the 5 lectures. We're getting into week 2 right now. Week 3 will be posted, like I said, by tonight or tomorrow. There is the accident investigation case study that's due at the end of week 3, but you can start working on it now. And then at the end, we've got the case study report and the final exam. Final exam will not be that difficult. It'll be similar to the quizzes and the assignments we're doing each week. Is that where I thought I was going to do something? Okay, we must be eventually getting to more of the case study then, right? Yeah, okay. So module 1 talked about professional ethics, because you have to be passionate. You have to do the right thing when you practice safety. But it's not a profession, which is unfortunate. Our duty is not to prevent injuries, it's to assess, correct, train, learn, and improve. Causes of death and injury are not aligned with the most frequently cited standards. I think that's interesting, but still we can use that data to justify our efforts and our recommendations. Using an analytical approach will help you limit how much you blame a person. Make sure you're documenting everything. Make sure you create a plan. Don't just willy-nilly get out there and do it. You need to have a plan in place and document what's going on. And an effective safety program is built over time. You learn. You try something, you learn, you improve, and that's really what it's all about. I still think it's really fun. And a quick reminder, we will be using the course textbook throughout the course. So don't think that now that we've completed all the chapters that it's like, oh, throw it away or return it. We're going to be referring back to it. Here's Module 2. It's called OSHA. And so I rebuilt this for you guys, starting with written programs and then into the ACT and the website, frequently cited standards and how to contest a standard, OSHA record keeping and other resources as far as data, and then how to prepare for and manage an OSHA visit. Hope you guys like that. Here is the incident or accident investigation assignment that'll be due at the end of Module 3. But now that I've posted it, you could work on it now if you want to. Essentially, you're going to do these 4 steps for each of these 3 case studies. I've got a residential roofer who's in heat. Who's being exposed to heat. That sounded bad, sorry. Assembly worker using a pallet jack and a maintenance worker troubleshooting a taper machine. These are things that I've either dealt with or a piece of it or found something and then customized it to work I've done. So I try to give you guys the description here, so read it. You're going to determine whether it's OSHA recordable, which you're going to learn this week. You are going to select one of the incident investigation techniques. Now, there is a technique that is good for each one of these, and you have to look at the book, look at how Oakley describes it, and then select it and give me the reference of why you selected it. Conduct an incident investigation. Well, yeah, just try to fill out the form that's provided, and then make a recommendation. Okay? Each of these 4 are worth 25% of the total score, and again, it's 10% of your grade. Oh, good. So I've got some stuff to show you. First, what I'd like to do, let's take a walkthrough. So this is another consulting job I had done. We're going to walk through quick. What is this? 2-minute video, and then I will go over the presentation and the citations. Those are downdraft sanding tables. That's a planer. No, that's a planer. The other one was it's a cabinet, custom cabinet making business. This is called the clamper. This is where they glue boards together and you compress it and then suspend it. Some of these people actually have devices on them. It's not a big plant. Remember, I can't hear what's going on. I'm just trying to remember. Okay. So that was just a simple walkthrough. Based on what I had collected while I was on site, I created and completed this table for as a mock OSHA audit. And so I had my citation number and item number, group number, type, the citation, the description. I did the gravity-based penalty and penalty reductions based on what I found, and then I created a basic abatement. And so I then, as part of my report, built this citation, notification, and penalty. This is mine. I built this based on what's really available. So it's the same thing. And if you read this, you can see, we're going to go over this week. Good time to go over this now. I got the different types of violations. I'll zip this down a little bit. So this must be machine guarding. Yep. Serious because people could, get their hand caught in there and an amputation. So it's pretty severe. This one is I cited the general duty clause because of the clamper machine. Somebody could get pulled and stuck into it because there's no mechanism to detect presence detecting. This is a noise standard, a noise violation. This would be electrical. What's this one? Compressed air used for cleaning needs to be less than 30 psi or dead end release. This is a PPE. PPE violation. 151 is eye wash station. They didn't anchor a machine that was supposed to be anchored. Sanitation standard. More PPE. HazCom. Bloodborne pathogens? Yes, bloodborne pathogens. They weren't prepared for it. This is a forklift. It's another than serious. So they had a record-keeping standard as well, violation, I should say. Loads. This must be overhead storage. This is walking working surfaces. And then here was the total with the reductions built into it. The owner was not pleased. He's like, I wouldn't pay it. I'm like, well, then you get even more trouble, sir. All right, let's get to the actual presentation now. I'm not going to share the report just now, but we'll just kind of go over the presentation just so you can see it. I mean, you got to see the walkthrough. You got to see the citations. So did this back in 2018. I've got some more sophisticated ones, but again, this is the first week review, so we'll get more sophisticated as we go. Overall impression, I always try to be positive right off the bat, try to put them in a good mood. And then I get into the review of the documents. Remember, as you go through this week, we'll go over how an OSHA inspection's done. So this is basically the opening conference. I went through and read all of their paperwork. There's certain things that they say they're doing, but they're not. There's certain things that they're not doing that they should, and they need to be more specific with their wording because it's a violation. This is just my boilerplate as far as what I used as part of my inspection. So if you remember, the first citation was a machine guarding. It's an upcut whirlwind saw, yep. So this thing clamps down and then a blade comes up out the bottom. But the thing is, there's nothing blocking fingers from getting in the way. So I found an actual solution for them. The clamper machine is a robot. It's, what do we call it? It's space in which it occupies. It's not guarded. It's not presence sensing. So if someone was to sneak in there and get caught, it was just the machine would do the crushing to them. And they had their control panel so far away, they had to use this stick to activate it. It also is the same stick you'd use to emergency stop it. So this needs to be moved closer. You shouldn't have operators using sticks to use the activation panel. As far as noise, it was pretty loud, and I was sampling it at that time. Lo and behold, they were over in certain areas. But if you have high noise levels, you got to monitor. They didn't have any program for wood dust. OSHA says if dust accumulation is thicker than the width of a dime, that's too much. And there's the compressed air that was above 30 psi. They had a forklift charging station, but they didn't have the PPE or the warning labels. They didn't have the eye wash station. You need that stuff if you're going to be adding distilled water to batteries, which you must do if you're charging it. It's a maintenance thing. Equipment here, whether it's a drill press or a tabletop grinder, and they need to be secured to the surface because what they'll do is they'll jump around, and that can be a problem. There were some sanitation issues, so you can see all this wood dust and material inside this fridge. It's like, come on. Workers deserve a place where they can take a break, wash their hands, clean themselves off, and then sit down and eat food without production materials being there. They didn't do any job hazard analysis for PPE. Well, we're going to review that in Lecture 10. But yeah, you have to do that. And depending on who your vendor is, they may have a form to use. But OSHA has one too. It's very, very simple. You just need, in order to select the proper type, you need to document what they're doing. They don't have any real written program like HazCom. You really should have that stuff. They had a respirator just sitting out. A respirator not in use needs to be stored properly. They need to be inspected and cleaned. They had a definite risk of lacerations or worse, and they didn't have they really didn't have a bloodborne pathogen. This should have been serious, probably. They had some stuff, I should say. Maybe that's why I downgraded it. And they didn't have the paperwork for forklift operator certification. They said he was, but you got to have the paperwork. Again, if you don't have the paperwork, you didn't do it. They had some record-keeping issues. Basically, they didn't keep it. They didn't have the forms. If you're going to have overhead storage, you need to have a rating system, a rating capacity placard to indicate what can be stored up there, what can't. And then here's a summary of all the citations along with the deductions. So this week we'll get into how OSHA documents a violation, how the gravity-based penalty system works, and how you add in corrective reductions. Okay? That was it. So I came back with students and we actually did a bunch of work for them for free. And yeah, so that was basically it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be doing a lot more of these as we go through with the weekly reviews. I may insert some into some of the lectures. But for the most part, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. But I think I covered everything I saw this week. I think everything's going pretty well. Just, if you haven't turned something in, please do. If you need more time, please ask. If you have questions, please contact me. All right, thanks a lot.